Hello, everybody, and welcome to part 3 of what if War for Cybertron and Fall Cybertron characters were in TF Prime. Let's not waste any more time and get started. We cut back to Cybertron, where Starscream sees the rubble of Shockwave's lab, and so he decides to take over the Decepticons completely. But little does he know, Shockwave is alive, with him being found by the Combaticons, with them aiding and hiding him in secrecy, as Shockwave continues his experiments and works on a new breed of Predacons. As the years pass, most Decepticons on Cybertron are in stasis lock or are dead, with Starscream himself at a low, so he works to find other ways of gathering energon. On Earth, we cut to 4 years later to the year 2010, where Team Prime has grown very accustomed to Earth. The Decepticons, however, have been staying in hiding, with Thundercracker having only sent mining vehicons out to gather energon, as well as construct a space bridge by the moon in Earth's orbit. One day, Cliffjumper is out driving around when he stumbles upon an exposed energon vein. But the Nemesis arrives and he has to fight not only Vehicons, but Slipstream. Slipstream would take him down, even breaking one of his horns off, but the Energon would still blow up, so she would grab him and drag him back to the Nemesis, right to Thundercracker. Thundercracker would, however, ask for him to be taken into the brig and to be held as a prisoner. This is due to the fact that he isn't as easily insulted and being more honorable than Starscream ever was. Team Prime arrives, but doesn't see Cliff. RC finds his horn, and Ratchet checks for his life signal, but doesn't detect anything. The bots assume the worst, and so hold a ceremony for Cliffjumper. RC leaves like in canon, but with Jazz understanding her pain, and Sideswipe helps Jazz out with the pain of Cliffjumper being gone. RC would run into Jack being chased by the Vehicons, but Bumblebee and Jazz would come in and they take down the cons, killing them. Soon, Jack, Raphael, and Miko meet the Autobots, and are given their respective Autobot guardians, which are the same as canon. The Nemesis would be flying around the planet when they get a signal from deep space, so Thundercracker, knowing who it is, orders the opening of the space bridge, to which Megatron, now in his upgraded jet mode, comes through, and it says the same thing. Of course, Fowler comes to the Autobot base and chastises them about what happened, but Optimus reassures him that they are Earth's only defense against the Decepticons, and that they will try better. With Fowler leaving like usual, the Nemesis lands by a mine, where Megatron arrives, and he explains that while he did not find an army, but he explains that he did find Dark Energon, which can revive the dead. Skywarp asks how that's possible, since that never happened before with the Dark Energon on Trypticon, or the Dark Energon they used during the war. But Megs explains that the samples that they had on the Trypticon station had been experimented on for many years. However, while I did try to make it lessen so bots can control it, it did ampen up its already unnatural abilities to extreme form. However, the one that Megatron has is of its raw, potent form, which has the ability to revive the dead and is more connected to, say, the spark of Unicron. Cliffjumper is ordered to be brought to Megatron, where Megatron says he needs to test his theory, however, so he stabs Cliffjumper and kills him. Thundercracker is surprised, but doesn't say anything. Megatron stabs the Dark Energon shard into Cliffjumper's chest, bringing him back, leading to him killing several of the minor Vehicons, but Megatron would cut him in half. Ratchet detects Cliffjumper's signal, so Optimus orders for the bots to head there, with Ratchet, Perceptor, and most of the Autotroopers and the aerial bots staying behind, so Jazz, Sideswipe, Ironhide, Bulkhead, Bumblebee, RC, and Optimus all go. They fight through the mine until they reach the main part. RC sees Cliff, so Jazz covers her as they make their way to Cliff. RC grabs him but drops him upon seeing his face, but Jazz manages to grab him just in time. Skywarp drops a bomb down to the Autobots and before leaving, so the Autobots have no choice but to roll out, and they barely make it back to base. When they return, Jazz puts Cliffjumper's remaining body on a table, with Ratchet and Perceptor trying their best to help him. But after some time, they see that there's nothing they can do for him. They can't even get close to him without him attacking them. Jazz and RC are angered, but say their goodbyes, as Cliff is put down once and for all. With RC still getting sick, and even Jazz, given he was holding Cliffjumper. Optimus orders the humans to be sent home with their partners, but due to RC feeling even worse than in canon, he has Sideswipe drive Jack home. Perceptor and Ratchet experiment on the Dark Energon samples, with a drop landing on the broken tube that Bulkhead broke earlier. It comes to life and attacks them, but Optimus still kills it, and they learn of Megatron having Dark Energon once again, but Optimus says that this is much worse. He has its raw, potent form now. On the Nemesis, Megatron would still stab himself with the raw shard, and he would leave. Optimus would detect Megatron's signal, so him, Ratchet, Ironhide, and the aerial bots head to investigate. Fowler would arrive, but due to all the Autobots being there, they're able to actually hide the kids from Fowler. So Fowler would leave, but he would not make the call to the cons, so Fowler actually doesn't get captured here. So that whole thing doesn't happen. Optimus's team arrives, and they see Megatron revive the undead Autobot and Decepticon past warriors. So they fight through them. However, due to how many there are, this is actually much easier. And so this allows Optimus to begin climbing the hill much sooner, with the aerial bots and them finishing off the last of the undead for sure. Meg still gets away, however, even with the aerial bots there. Optimus orders them to stand down, as there's no point in chasing after him. So they return to base. However, due to the Autobots having not gone to the Nemesis, the cons are able to activate the space bridge much sooner, with the Autobots having to scramble to get there, with Ratchet using all of his luck to get them onto the space bridge, free of the ground bridge's limited range. The bots make their stand, but due to the satellites still being around, they open the space bridge much sooner, and so Megatron throws the Dark Energon to Cybertron, reviving the undead. On Cybertron, the remaining Autobots and Decepticons see the undead rising, so start to fight through them. Starscream sees the undead starting to actually fly off-world and actually annoying most of the Autobots and Decepticons that are attacking them. And so he flies up there and sees the space bridge in the sky. He knows Cybertron is dead, and this might be their only way to get energon, as whoever opened this portal clearly might have some sort of power if they are able to bring the dead of Cybertron back. So, he orders all remaining of his followers to get onto their ship and to go through the portal. The Dinobots see the portal as well, so Jetfire says he will investigate, with him flying up to it. Team Prime fights through the Jet Vehicons and the Seekers, with Prime and Megs ending up facing off against each other, as the others deal with the cons. Optimus is about to lose the fight, but Jetfire comes in at that moment and helps Prime, with the two briefly exchanging explanations of what happened to each other since they haven't seen each other. At that moment, though, Starscream's ship comes through and crushes a bunch of the undead that they're also trying to get through initially. But Starscream and his crew see what's going on. His crew consists of Barricade, Frenzy, Demolisher, Dragstrip, Dead End, Blackout, and some Vehicons and Seekers. Starscream sees the fight between Prime and Megs, with his crew saying that they need to help Megatron, as they're still loyal to him over Starscream. Starscream thinks to a moment and decides that it would be the good to help, as if he's able to somehow worm his way back into the Decepticon ranks, maybe not even as second in command. This could help him in the long run in completely taking over the Decepticons. Starscream's ship opened fires on the bots, but Jetfire would say that if they can overrule the space bridge, it can shut it down. The bots target the power supply and other ports on the station. RC is still shot at, but she is grabbed by Jetfire, with the Autobots rolling out, with only a dozen Autotroopers dying during the skirmish. Starscream's ship and the Nemesis fly away from the space bridge before it blows up, but Megatron still goes to the portal as the first few Terracons that are able to actually successfully start getting through the portal, but it blows up, seemingly killing Megatron. The bots celebrate and welcome Jetfire to the Autobots on Earth, with Jazz checking up on RC, who is fully recovered. Optimus would go outside and give the same speech he gave at the end, but this time targeted to any Autobots remaining on Cybertron to have good luck, and one day they will send for them. The Nemesis and Starscream's ship meet, with Thundercracker and Starscream meeting, and Thundercracker, after some debate, actually allows Starscream to join them, as they need reinforcements if they're going to have more of an advantage over the Autobots, especially with all the dark energon that Megatron brought being gone. However, Starscream will not lead, with Thundercracker still in charge. Starscream at the moment pledges loyalty to Thundercracker, but says for now under his breath. Thundercracker sends a scavenger team to go investigate the wreckage of the space bridge, where they find Megatron's body, so bring him back. However, they see that he needs repairs. So Starscream, actually helping a little bit, says he knows two bots that can actually lend a hand. So he sends a message to Knockout and Breakdown, as he knows they're somewhere near their sector of space. Some days later, the Autobots and their human partners start working on class projects, with Ratchet going a little overboard, like in canon, helping them. Starscream sees, however, with all the Megatron loyalists around, when he takes over, he will need somebody imposing on his side to keep him in line. So he goes through the Nemesis' database and finds the location of an energon seeker that had been left on this planet some time ago. And so he takes Skywarp there to say that he just found a Decepticon that could help the cause further, but in reality is lying to him about his true goal. The bots detect Starscream and Skywarp's movement, so Optimus takes Ironhide and Sideswipe to investigate. Starscream revives Skyquake, but he is only loyal to Megatron as he finds out to his discard. Then Optimus arrives and tries to convince Skyquake to help them, and he's even surprised to see Starscream on Earth, saying that last they heard he was on Cybertron, but remembers the ship that comes through, so puts the pieces together that he must have been the leader of that ship. Skyquake, however, ignores this and so faces off against Optimus. The fight goes mostly the same as canon, but Ironhide and Sideswipe get a few hits on Skyquake. But it does get ruined once Fowler arrives, with Skyquake scanning Fowler's jet. But Ironhide and Sideswipe perform a fastball special, with Sideswipe stabbing his blade into Skyquake's side and causing him to crash and die. The bots will look at him in pity and so bury him out of respect. Starscream is a little displeased that he wasn't loyal to him, but is happy that another Megatron supporter is dead, and that he will have to find another way to get some loyalists on his side. And that is where we're going to leave it for now. Thank you guys for watching. This part wasn't really that long. Well, actually, to me it doesn't feel like it's that long, but anyways. Yeah, part 3. See you in part 4.